I'm Matt.
I'm Shane. And you are about to listen to an excerpt from a Comic Movie Marks podcast.
So if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that like button real hard. And make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks. And always remember,
if Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it. All right, now we got some more DC news, but this is a different section of it. I don't know if we should play some marching music here or some celebrations or some celebrate good times. Come on. Well, Joss Whedon's officially off of Batgirl.
yay!
All right. Well,
What we got?
he said he didn't have a story for it, so he has removed himself from it. And I like that's how it was said at first.
Mm-hmm.
I love like a lot of articles were saying it as that was first, but then now you see a lot of the DC people get a hold of it, and now it's being turned into Joss Whedon was fired. Now, like
I haven't seen any of that.
I've seen a lot of people talking
man.
why Joss Whedon was fired from Batgirl. All right, whatever. I guess if you want, however you want to say it, I guess whatever you want to do there. But he removed himself apparently from Batgirl.
But you don't have a story.
Well, that's how you get the job from the start, dude, is you pitch a story.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure they just don't be like, all right, let's get a director first. Let's figure out the story later. Like,
yeah.
No, it's, or get a writer and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's, we're going to get a writer, director. Now we can't figure out a story. So, obviously, he pitched them a story, and that's what he was going to do. And something has happened in some case.
Or a writer pitched a story before Joss Whedon was even hired on. Is what I would assume.
Maybe he was supposed to do some rewrites.
That happens. And they're like, oh, fuck, sinking ship. I think, and this is just me throwing shit out the wall, but I do think that there is a chance that WB noticed the reaction on now the flip side of like Joss Whedon's Justice League and went, okay, maybe it didn't do well in the box office. Yeah, the test screenings did well. That's why they proceeded that way. Didn't do well in the box office. It's probably best we part ways. And then Joss is like, yeah, probably good. I didn't have shit anyways.
That is a crazy motherfucker anyway.
Joss is?
Yeah, dude. Like, if you ever just even see shit about his Twitter or anything like that, he's very politically motivated. And he just spews a bunch of
Wow.
whatever
No, I have not.
shit stuff. Yeah, he's
That's
all
news
over
to
it.
me.
He's all over it. He doesn't shut up either. I really hate that when people just keep rambling on and shit.
Yeah.
And don't let you talk at all.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then block you.
Yeah, and then block you.
Not that that's happened to us, but,
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But, goddamn. Anyway.
No, yeah, so that's news to me, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of his. To me, he's kind of would it be a one-hit wonder? I mean, he had Avengers. Oh, I guess he did have a little bit of say in Captain America, right? In the first one. None in Winter Soldier.
I think for the Phase 1, he did have a little bit of say throughout some of the Phase 1. I don't think Iron Man 1.
No.
But I think like with Iron Man 2 and Captain America.
Probably Iron Man 3. I'm just guessing.
You just brought that up for a cheap shot. That was a low blow.
I did.
And obviously did Avengers, and then he went into Age of Ultron.
But out of all of those, Avengers, I mean, the first one, like, I don't understand why there was so much behind him. Yeah, I guess he's really good at writing quips. And he's shown that, and then it's fallen flat. I don't understand why he has this like aura about him. Like, oh my gosh, even when he was hired,
it's just a particular group of people. There's people that like Zack Snyder's vision and his style. There's people that want Joss Whedon's style. They like his quips. They like his colorization. They like his style. They're the people that will fall under his, make it grim, make it dark, but for God's sakes, tell a joke. Yeah, paraphrasing his quote.
Right. I just think that for some reason people just jump automatically to Avengers. Avenger made over $1 billion. Yeah, he's gonna be great for the DC. But then you kind of look at like, well, that was it. Somehow he towed that line perfectly for that one movie, and then everything else has just kind of been meh. So I don't know what it is, but anyways, that's just my opinion. I'm
still under the belief that if Joss Whedon did want to take comic book characters, if he did want to take a DC character, I think a character that is not as established as the ones we had already is a good way to do it. And with the Avengers, we had some solo movies beforehand, but again, like I've said before, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, no one gave a shit about until those movies came out. Like, no one really had an appreciation for those characters at all. The problem with Justice League is you have several characters there that are beloved in certain fashion, in certain ways, and he tried to do his formula with it, and it just does not function well. I think he needs to do a character like Booster Gold or Blue Beetle or someone obscure like that no one has any expectations for. And then I think his style will come out and maybe be appreciated in a movie like that, especially a Booster Gold one. Like if DC wanted to get weird and shit and do a Booster Gold movie, I could see Joss Whedon doing that. That is perfect for him.
Yeah. I also think he could have been successful had Man of Steel never happened and they wanted to go back to the well with like Superman Returns 2 or whatever their plan was after that. Because he wrote Superman very similar to the original, and maybe that's what people were hoping for, but it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't fit very well. I'm looking up what he's credited for. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
never seen
the show, The Avengers, Cabin in the Woods, Angel, the show.
Cabin in the Woods is good. See, I like Cabin in the Woods.
Okay,
that's a good one.
Yeah, he's a
writer
on that. Oh, really?
Yeah.
From 2012? Okay. Justice League, obviously, some cartoons, Ultimate Spider-Man, Lego Marvels, In Your Eyes, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, apparently.
I didn't know they made a movie for that.
Yeah. Dollhouse, X-Men, more Buffy, holy shit. So I guess he is credited for some stuff. It's just nothing that I'm like, oh my gosh, he did this. Atlantis, he's done a lot of like Disney movies, Titan AE, Toy Story, he helped with the screenplay. This is according to IMDb. It's kind of what I'm going for. So
let's see. What could be the next project for Joss Whedon in the comic verse that we have here? Well, Screen Rant decided to go completely apeshit.
Woo!
And put out an article saying why Joss Whedon should direct Man of Steel 2.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck on out of here. There's no bunch of shit.
I love this article.
Yes.
It made me
then
laugh.
I will leave it up to you.
All right, beautiful. So, hold on, let me get back to page 1. Okay, so I was shocked. This is written by Dusty Stowe, and I think that's got to be a pen name. And I think he was definitely reaching with some of this. So he kind of starts off and says, Joss Whedon may be stepping out of the director's chair for Batgirl, but he shouldn't depart the DC extended universe entirely, blah, blah, blah. What is another DC icon that could definitely use Whedon's touch is Superman. And then basically saying that The Last Son of Krypton is currently in something of a cinematic limbo. A sequel to Zack Snyder's Man of Steel has been backburned numerous times in favor of escalating the DCEU's shared universe team-ups, namely Batman v Superman and Justice League. The latter of which Whedon infamously oversaw through an extensive and controversial post-production overhaul. No shit. In the week of Justice League.
Hey, they got a word per article rate they have to give, okay?
Yeah, true. So this is one thing that made me laugh. So, but as
that, huh?
This was the start. As we've argued before, Justice League's shortcomings were not the fault of any one party, and certainly not Whedon, who had a near impossible task in front of him. The resulting film may have disappointed in many ways, but it showed a surprisingly clear path forward for Superman, and there's nobody more equipped to take on that mission than Whedon. Do you want to elaborate?
Just no. Like, man, I fucking watched, a fan edit and saw the ending there, and he's like, I believe in truth. And a thing called, like, a little thing of justice or something like that, and then he punches Steppenwolf. I'm like,
right.
Oh my god, that is so fucking bad. And you could tell that was shoehorned in by Whedon.
Yeah, absolutely. So this part's hilarious. So Screen Rant's articles typically when they're going through, if you've never read one before, they'll have like a title and then a picture, and then it'll elaborate on that title and picture. So the first one that you come to, the very first one, that's arguing for why Joss Whedon should be the next the Man of Steel 2 director is a more traditional Superman, and then it shows a Zack Snyder cut or one of the additional scenes. The Alfred scene,
which was a Zack Snyder shot.
Yeah, that's your example. That is your example right there. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This is the first part of the article, and you clearly say, "Oh, more traditional Superman. Look, he's smiling."
And another Screen Rant article that's come out that I was reading before was Zack Snyder's Superman was the true Superman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From Screen Rant?
Yeah.
Ah, damn. Should have read that one. Yeah.
But
so
this one's funnier. The other one we all fucking knew.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one just makes my eyes roll. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So basically, even though Zack Snyder's version of Superman was bold, challenging, visually stunning, and has amassed a passionate vocal fan base, fuck yeah, we are. But there's simply no getting around the fact that that take was not for everyone. And the dour, self-doubting Clark Kent proved to be far more polarizing than Warner Brothers were hoping. Basically, Warner Brothers is clearly looking for a sweet spot between Singer's cornball and Snyder's dark deconstruction. Whedon's Superman scenes in Justice League easy to spot due to Henry Cavill's unfortunate CGI
or
lip.
dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. Prove he's the
Smelly,
man for the job.
Itchy. It's pretty fucking obvious. Not because of his lip, you dipshit.
Yeah, that's definitely a clear giveaway. But yeah, there's even more in addition to that. So Henry Cavill is on board. The article continues, at least on this part. Henry Cavill is a great person to play this character. He's polite. He has just delved into the character itself, done a ton of research, but he needs to be playing a better, brighter, lighter Superman story, and Whedon's the guy to help him with that. And then it continues, Whedon helped shape the MCU's Superman. Now this I did think that's a valid point. And this is something that Matt has actually brought up on a previous episode. Basically, they're talking about Captain America, the first Avenger, and so the article says one of the more common anti-Superman arguments these days is that he's a character who is simply obsolete. That it's impossible to reconcile his earnest, uncomplicated, do-gooder nature with the modern world. That is, of course, a ridiculous, cynical argument and one that can easily be refuted. Of Marvel's many cinematic successes, few tower quite as high as Captain America. Over a dozen films, Chris Evans' Steve Rogers has become an unquestionable conscience of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in many ways embodies the ideals traditionally associated with Superman: truth, justice, and the American way. So I believe Matt's argument was in our Avengers breakdown that we did, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he said something to the effect of, I can see where Captain America, he's always making it a point to try to save the citizens, and maybe just something that small could have helped Zack Snyder in his vision of just small things of continually trying to save the citizens, get them out of harm's way.
Which he does to some extent in Man of Steel, but just not to the overwhelming extent I think Captain America does. They had specific scenes where he's just saving a random group of people. I mean, it's kind of shoehorned in there, but it's there.
Right.
And I think just that alone, and it even has the woman that he saved at the end. Like, he saved us. It was, I thank him and all this other stuff. And it's just like this moment where then you look at the end of Man of Steel compared to the end of Avengers.
Yeah.
Same amount of destruction, but for some reason, really opposite on the deaths, according to Civil War.
Right.
Same amount of destruction, but yet at the end of Avengers, the people seem appreciative. There is a kind of a dissenting of view a little bit on the TV when they're doing those little quick cuts and stuff like that to people's opinions and stuff. But, for overall, it's like a lot of people appreciating what the Avengers did. In the end of Man of Steel, it just kind of ends. And there's no real repercussions for what happened in Man of Steel until Batman versus Superman.
Right.
So I think that small little bit, just helps people get over that fact a little bit. I'm not saying that it's the best executed way, but I could see through the common casual moviegoer, that little example alone will kind of refute any ideas that you have that this is just disaster porn, as they call it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that the first Captain America walks a closer line to the Christopher Reeve type Superman. It has some corny things. He does, obviously he kills. He's a fucking war hero at that point. But
he murders the fuck out of people.
Yeah. I can see the correlation, and this article writer from Screen Rant does bring up a good point that for whatever reason, Joss Whedon and whoever was behind Captain America has raised him up and made him the person that a lot of people think Superman should have been. My argument to that is Zack Snyder went further back in developing why Superman makes the decisions that he does, not just doing it because like, oh yeah, you know, look at me, I'm just this guy. Like, for example, what Marvel's attempt to show like, hey, that he's just a good guy because he's a good guy, when they're doing the training and, you know, he's yet to be injected and, you know, he's just this small scrawny guy, and all of a sudden the grenade rolls down, he jumps on it, everyone else runs away, hides behind the Jeeps. Zack Snyder had a different approach of having him go through trials and tribulations, and even though he was raised to be a solid, upstanding person, he had some decisions
conflict.
And stuff. Yeah, exactly.
There was
some
it was
additional
no black. It wasn't
conflict
as black and white for him as it was for Steve Rogers.
Yeah, exactly. So then back to the screen,
and that's where people say the problem is. Some people's opinion is that's the problem, is that it should be more black and white for Superman,
right?
Not gray.
Yeah.
Some people have different desires.
Yeah.
I like the gray. I even like the black and white too, to an extent. I can like both.
Yeah.
I go both ways.
Yeah.
It's fine. But in this case, for some reason...
No one's judging.
So for some reason, some other people just don't like...
I think for me, the more intriguing Superman graphic novels are in the gray area. The ones where he has conflict, the ones where he's misunderstood a little bit, where he's trying to find his place in the world instead of just being this do-gooder. A lot of people have criticized the Superman comic books because he's OP. No matter what, you throw something at him and he's just moving worlds and all this stuff, and he just does all, you know, aside from the Golden Age. In the Golden Age, he's like, oh, he drops I think he drops a robber off the building because he tries shooting some people. And then Superman says something to the effect of, well, he got what he deserved. He shouldn't have tried to do that. But after that, then it turns into this black and white, like, no, I just do good. And eventually the writers are like, well, now what do we do? Yeah. So to me, I find some of the conflicts a little more intriguing. So going back to the article, the next little thing says, Man of Steel 2 needs a big name director. And this was one of the things...
Does it?
Not necessarily, yeah. But this is one of the things that got me thinking of, yes, he is a big name director, but really, what has he done aside from Avengers and apparently Cabin in the Woods? It blows my mind that somehow he's was part of the success of the Avengers. But other than that, I'm like, it's kind of, what have you done for me lately? Like that kind of mentality for me. And then the article continues, Whedon's a better fit for Superman than Batgirl. I guess, yeah, if you're going for more of the classic,
no,
the classic Superman.
He's just not a good fit for either one.
Yeah, I agree.
Into that. There's no better than the other. So I think, does that wrap that article up?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it just continues.
It was there for clicks. It was there for revenue.
Yep, pretty much. I do give them credit. It was a 2-pager. And the entire thing, I'm just shaking my head reading this thing like, holy fuck. And yeah, it made me laugh, of course, just starting off with the Zack Snyder scene image as a part of their argument as why Joss Whedon should be the next director. Bravo.
So with that news that Joss Whedon was removed from Batgirl, we've had some interesting little tidbits come out on Vero involving Zack Snyder. I would like a snack. Anyway. Involving Zack Snyder. This is interesting because we read some articles back when it was conflicting articles about whether or not Zack Snyder was fired or not. And there was one that was pretty dead on about he was fired, he was forced out by WB. Jeff Johns brought in Joss Whedon and basically pushed Zack out the door and used his daughter's death as a PR stunt. The other article is conflicting, saying that Zack left on his own volition and just didn't come back. And Deborah Snyder was still doing promotional work for Justice League at the same time. And they're even rumored to come back and helping right now Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman 2. That article was released out in November of 2017. So it's conflicting stuff. Like, is he there? You know, he even posts stuff on Vero about he's back in the office doing stuff. It's kind of like a gym or whatever the fuck it is and stuff like that. But at the same time, when he starts liking some of these things, I've always took it as he's trolling or he's really nice. But this one's interesting This one could be a little telling. They had an article by the Vulture here saying, more bad news for fans of DC Entertainment. Joss Whedon is giving up on the hashtag Batgirl movie. So Fiona Zhang, I guess the woman that runs released the Zack Snyder website for Zack Snyder. I'm not quite sure what the hell it's called at this point.
Yeah, so I had wondered that. I'm on Zack Snyder's Vero page, and he had a post 2 days ago that says, seriously, Fiona is awesome. And then he is basically sharing hers to have everyone follow it, which I'm going to do right now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
So that's just kind of, as we're going through this, I was looking at that, I'm like, oh, fuck, that's the chick.
Yeah, that's her. Well, she said, reposting this article that Vulture put out, but then having her own caption saying, for today, the only bad news is these media/press still think Whedon out was bad for the DCEU. For a person that really likes the DC universe, you should start calling it the DCU because it's not the DCEU. Get your shit straight, son. Anyway, and so you go over and you look at her likes, and Clay Anos and Zack Snyder liked her post. And then what Changes read about how awesome she is.
Yeah. And that was directly from Zack Snyder. It just makes you wonder a little bit.
Well, it makes you wonder, did he not read what she put, and he's actually saying, oh, it is bad that they lost Joss Whedon? Maybe he's just looking at the article title. A guy that's super attention to detail.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he's
missing some detail.
Maybe he's a title guy.
Yeah.
You know, like like
everyone else.
Yeah. Read the title of the article.
Yeah.
And
could be.
Oh shit! Really? Okay, and that's truth now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that is very interesting. That, and especially the Clay Anos one as well, liking it. Okay.
Yeah, makes you wonder. And then one of the intriguing things that I saw on Instagram, I just wasn't sure how true it was. Apparently, so Zack Snyder, this was 4 days ago. He takes a picture of his thumb. Obviously, I'm assuming it's edited, but it's Snyder's thumb with a cut. So Zack cut, and then Zack Snyder cut, and then the very next picture is one of Henry Cavill, Man of Steel, and his caption is "Found this guy."
And the thing that Joss Whedon said is that he couldn't find a story for Batgirl. It's at first I thought he was just being nice, and maybe it's a tad bit of trolling, but man, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I don't know. I still don't know if that confirms really that he was fired. He just may not like Joss Whedon.
Yeah. So
he still has said that he's never seen Justice League.
Yeah,
So
people have asked him. Yeah,
he's never seen Justice League. Maybe he just knows what happened. Maybe Deborah, because Deborah Snyder was still running, promotional work for this movie. Maybe he knew from that, and he just knew where it was going, and so maybe that's why he doesn't like it.
I think part of it could be from Fisher. With all the stuff, it boggles my mind. I've brought this theory up before, and this is kind of my crazy conspiracy theorist theory, if you will. Regarding
Illuminati.
Yeah, exactly. Illuminati confirmed. Snyder, I do think probably brought Whedon on, or he was there, he was available, and Snyder said, "Hey, finish my
movie, bitch."
Yeah, basically, finish my movie, and Whedon's like, "Yeah, sounds good," and it seems like Snyder was under the impression that he was gonna finish it, and in my opinion, Whedon took liberties. Probably per WB, telling him like
Jeff Johns, WB.
Yeah, you need to be. This needs to be more family friendly. We want it more
mainstream.
Yeah, exactly, and more family friendly, and just spunked up a little bit, and it also needs to be trimmed down to 2 hours. And Joss was like, "You got it. I have no problem sticking a knife in Snyder's back. I'm gonna be the savior of the DCEU, and here I am," kind of thing. And then Fisher knew that and was like, "I'm getting butchered out of this. I'm gonna wear I Love Zack Snyder shirt to Comic-Con." For other than that, I don't know why you put "I love some other dude" on your shirt.
You got a problem with that? I thought about buying one of those shirts.
I would definitely do that. I love Zack Snyder, but I don't know. Anyways, I digress. So,
I put Shane in an uncomfortable spot.
yes, you did slightly. So, not as uncomfortable as the beginning of this podcast, but and then I think Snyder was like, "Fuck, my whole vision that was supposed to come to fruition, I had to step out, and they took the opportunity to basically go, oh yeah, now that he stepped aside, let's fuck up his movie and make it the way we want it instead of the way he wants it. Now it's confusing. And now I do feel like he's watched it or he's heard or he knew beforehand how it was going based on the cast and reshoots and stuff like that. And he's like, well, fuck. And so now he's trolling in addition, and he's putting all this extra stuff out there. And I find it fantastic. It's so awesome. And I hope that Warner Brothers listens. I doubt that they will, but it's nice to see that Snyder's kind of like, hey, yeah, Snyder cut. Hey, I found this guy. Like shit like that. I love it.
I don't know. I feel like at one point he should just fucking say it. If he was fired or not, just say it, because it doesn't seem like to me you would ever go back to WB. I don't know if that tarnishes you for other studios because they could see how you would react. So maybe they don't want you there because you seem like an issue, a problem for them.
Possibly.
But it just feels like at this point, all this like playing back and forth. I don't know, man. It almost feels like wrestling. It feels like wrestling because like no one's just gonna say what the backstage thing is. It's just like all this shoot interviews,
right?
All these, these real life interviews and stuff, these real serious issues, but no one's just outright saying it. And it's just weird. It's like they're trying to keep publicity, like good publicity, bad publicity is still publicity. Like, whatever that saying is. I forgot how it is. Shame on me. Anyway, I forgot how that saying is. Bad publicity is still good publicity or whatever the hell it is. Maybe that's how they're looking at it. I don't know. I mean, it's keeping them in the freaking article.
Is, yeah.
It's constantly being pushed out there. I mean, Marvel, like you said, has got how many different movies this year? I mean, Infinity War's coming up now. Black Panther's breaking records. Yeah, those are filling in. But man, still at the same time, if Zack Snyder just likes something on Vero, there's articles about
and
it.
And people are jumping right on that.
So I don't know. I don't know if there's a game being played here and we're all pawns. Or what? I don't know.
I think the pro wrestling comparison is hit the nail on the head for sure. And anyone who is into pro wrestling and has kind of like listened to these different interviews and stuff like that, you'll understand that there is a whole nother side that you don't see and you think you know, but you have no idea.
Yeah.
This is the diary.
You think you're a mark
or whatever, right?
Yeah, and you're not. Yeah. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. All these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.